Hi, this is Ralph Zuranski, creator of the In Search of Heroes program. I'm interviewing Craig Garber today, the king of copy. He was a protege of Gary Halbert for about 6 months and is probably the hardest working man in internet copywriting and offline copywriting for a lot of business people that are looking for the best and wanting a fair price. So, Craig, how are you doing today?
Great, Ralph. Thanks. It's real nice to be here and real good to be talking to you.
Appreciate the opportunity to interview you, and I wanted to ask you a couple questions. What is your definition of heroism?
Definition of heroism. Well, to me, a hero is somebody who makes your life better, either by maybe eliminating some existing pain and suffering you're going through, or by probably giving you an opportunity to enhance your life in some way, shape, or form. An unexpected opportunity also.
Mm-hmm. What is your perspective on goodness, ethics, and moral behavior?
Goodness, ethics, and moral behavior. Well, I guess to me the definition of integrity is doing the right thing when no one's looking, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So if you maintain your level of integrity, that covers all of it.
What principles are you willing to sacrifice your life for?
That's a good question. I think this is the kind of question that is really easy to answer on the surface, because it's easy to say, well, I'd give my life for this, or I'd give my life for that. But I think when you're pressed up against the wall in real-life situations, I don't think the knee-jerk answer that you probably have is the reality. I think if you're pressed up in a situation like that, people who do sacrifice their life for things, they're probably not the things they would have ever imagined they'd be sacrificing their life for. Whether it's to jump in front of a complete stranger and push him out of the way of a car or something like that, and they ultimately wind up sacrificing their life. I think those are the things you wind up sacrificing your life for. So as far as principles, I think realistically it'd be very hard for me to tell you what I'd be willing to sacrifice my life for. I would say, without a doubt, unquestionably, I'd always be willing to sacrifice my life for my wife and kids, to protect them and keep them safe. So that's the only definite thing, realistically, that I can give you.
So you'd say it's sort of a moment-by-moment thing? If somebody is in danger of being run over by a car, or somebody's in a burning house, it would be hard to do it at that time. Like, a lot of people look at heroes as firemen and soldiers and stuff that are actually being paid to do those types of things, and I think that a person is a much greater hero if they're not being paid to do a job, but actually are willing to sacrifice their life in a moment to save the lives of others.
Yeah, I think you don't know what you're willing. I think people who sacrifice their life most of the time don't go into something thinking, okay, well, I know I'm sacrificing my life for this. So that's why it's kind of a hard question to answer. I mean, you look at, let's think about 9/11, for example. I think in that situation, a lot of the firemen and the cops and the guys who ran in there, they probably had a conscious level of awareness. I'm probably going to be sacrificing my life to do this.
Yeah.
But that situation doesn't happen too often where it's I know I'm going to be giving my life up for this cause. I think you do things that are important to you, and hey, who knows the outcome of what anything's going to, of what actions you're going to be taking.
Yeah, well, I think that those guys are real heroes because you could just walk off the job, but to have the courage to basically go in and know that may be your last day on Earth, that is real heroism, and I think it's the same with our troops. Absolutely, that's balls. Yeah. So, did you have a dream or a vision that set the course of your life?
I did. I guess I had two different. As you age and evolve, or should I say mature instead of age? As you mature, your vision and your dreams and what's important to you changes, and that has evolved like that for myself as well. I guess when I was younger, my dream or vision was just to get the hell out of where I was. I had a pretty miserable childhood, I guess.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to get out of where I was. And I didn't know. I grew up in a violent, abusive household in a lower income. You see the projects on TV in New York City, in the Bronx. That's where I grew up. And I didn't know the rosy side of the world. I had a sense that better stuff existed out there, but I was never exposed to it. People often say, well, how can these guys in the ghetto be, holding people up and be so violent? And well, there's that's all they know.
Yeah.
They don't know that, gee, if I work hard and if I study and if I do this, maybe I can go out and make $1 million. No, all they know is, I'm living in poverty. My mother lived in poverty. My mother's mother lived in poverty. My kids live in poverty. So they're programmed for all that negative stuff. So I was programmed for that, but in the back of my head, I had a sense of, my dream or vision at that time was to get the hell out of Dodge. I didn't know how I was going to do it. Didn't know what it looked like. Didn't know where it was, but I knew I had to do it. And I knew that's what I wanted.
That's interesting because the scope of the In Search of Heroes program is to give those people in the communities that you grew up in hope that they can actually compete for the profits from drugs and crime by learning how to use the internet to market the products of their local community and just come up with products of their own.
Yeah, well, there's a huge need for that. There's no doubt about that. And it's if you can reach out and change, X amount of lives in that, you'll be changing the course of the world and really doing a good service for these people because, there is a shortage of hope in places like that. I know there was in my neighborhood, in my house, and, there still is there for the rest of my family. So I was just fortunate.
How did you become an optimist? Because to be able to get out of that situation, you actually had to have a positive view of the future, at least hope that you could change your life.
Lord knows, I have no idea. I don't know. I thank God every day, to tell you the truth. I just beat the odds. I don't know. I really can't answer how I became an optimist. I think how I became an optimist was I had faith in me. I had faith in myself. I knew that, I guess I knew I was better than where I was living. Not that I was a better person than the people that were living there, but I could do better.
Yeah.
I just didn't know what was out there, or how to do it, or what better looked like. So that was the pain and the growth process for me, or how to act in better. How do you act when you're in better? What does that mean? The other thing was I realized how little I knew, and I always sought out information. I realized the importance of information. I was schooled in everything what not to do, which is a valuable lesson, but I had no idea what to do.
Well, obviously it took a lot of courage to pursue new ideas because most people are trapped in the place where they're at for fear of doing anything new or disrupting their sort of peer group that they hang around with.
Well, in a way, I had it easy that way. See, because I'm a risk taker, and I always figure I'm at the bottom. So what if I fail at this? Where am I going to go? There's no way I could be worse off than where I am now. There's no way things could be worse than they are now. So if I do something that screws up, no big deal. Just go on to the next thing, and maybe that'll screw up. So I think in a way from the fear of failure or fear of people are afraid to take action or loath to take action or they're too lazy. That stuff never bothered me because I always knew that it was only up. May not work, but I probably couldn't get further down.
So you were willing to experience discomfort in your pursuit of your dreams?
Oh, yeah, I'm still willing to pursue. Look, you have to be, everybody sees the end result of people. Oh, you're a success, you're this, you're that. It's like a band. You say, oh, those guys came out of nowhere. Yeah, but you don't know the 10 years of sleeping in vans that they were doing and, laying in vomit in hotel rooms with 15 other guys. And you have to be willing to sacrifice a little bit if you want to move. It's a misnomer and it's something people don't want to believe, but nobody has it easy. Everybody's got to struggle. Some people have to struggle more than others. Some people have to struggle a lot more than others, but very, very few people are actually given something.
How important for you was it to believe that your dreams would eventually become reality?
I had to. I had no choice. What was my choice? I couldn't. The pain of living in the reality I was much greater than the pain of moving forward with these wacky thoughts in my head. So it was easier to move forward with those wacky thoughts in my head or to, I knew I always knew I was put on this earth to do something a lot better than where I am now. I don't know what that something is. I don't know what it'll be. I don't know what it'll look like, but let me go and find it. And I always believed that, and I still believe, I'm far from finished by any means.
Sure.
So just a big trip, and I'm just traveling.
A lot of people, they get paralyzed by doubts and fears. They just, they just don't want to fail. They're afraid to do anything for fear that they won't be successful. How are you able to overcome your doubts and fears?
Well, look, I still have fears when I do things but they're not fears of failure. Like I said, I never had fears of failures. In fact, if I'm perfectly honest with you, I struggled for years and years with fear of success. Again, because that programming I had as a kid, that failure, that scarcity mentality, that failure programming, and what happens is every time you're about to embark on a new adventure that can turn out positive, that old, dodgy, rusty tape recorder in the back of your head flips that play switch, flips that negative programming bullshit play switch in your head, and it spills that garbage out. So you have to, now, when it still plays now every once in a while. So but now I'm aware of it. I'm aware of what's going on. I'm aware that is just, as I think Stephen Pressfield said in the book. I don't know if you read it, The War of Art. He said that's just resistance coming up. So now I'm aware of it as a supposedly mature adult guy, and I can talk myself through it, acknowledge it, and recognize it. And I think to some extent it might be healthy because it keeps me it keeps me hungry.
Yeah, I understand that.
It keeps me hungry. And also the other thing is I'd be lying if I didn't say my wife didn't have a big role in this, because there were times when I did want to give up, but she always stuck with me and said, Craig, I don't want you doing this. I don't want you giving up. I'm willing to hang in no matter how desperate or how bad times get. I'm willing to hang in there as long as you will. I want you to do this. I believe in you. I know what you can do, and just, keep at it. And so, quite honestly, there were times when I did want to fold and give up when things weren't going well in business, and I said, God, I don't feel I could do this anymore, but what a loser I'd be if I didn't at least. She deserves this, at this point. So that got me through a lot of tough times, to be honest with you.
So was she the one that gave you the willpower to change the things in your life for the better?
My wife has been a real strong catalyst for change in my life, and I think we've done that with each other. We've been real lucky. I'm one of those 1 in 10 jillion people that actually finds his soulmate. I mean, I like hanging out with my wife. She's my best friend. I don't want to hang out with anybody. She's always my first choice of people I hang out with. And, she's been a tremendous influence in me and support of me, and, just my cheering section and when I needed it. And she's a strong woman, too, because I'm a pretty strong personality, and if I'm down, I need I need somebody strong to be there for me, and she's always done that, and I think we've done that for each other. Yeah,
I feel that same way about my wife also.
That's a good, you get
to
that,
have a strong woman in your life, that's for sure. They don't let you get over on any of your, what.
Yeah, well, it's good. I mean, look, if you get something like that, you truly are blessed. You hit the lottery, and
that is the truth. Yeah, and in relationships, I'm sure this is true in relationship also, is that how important is it for you to forgive those who upset, offend, and oppose you?
It's very important, but I got to be honest with you. For me, very few people upset, offend, and oppose me. When I say oppose me, upset and offend me, because as long as I got my wife and kids, there's really nothing outside of that. Nobody could really rub me the wrong way that I'm going to be all up in arms about anything. Look, in business, sometimes people accommodate you, sometimes they don't. That's just business, I don't take any of that stuff personal, and you just figure out another way to do things, or you work around it, or you work with someone else, or you got to compromise, too. That's part of life, you don't get everything you want. You got to compromise.
Yeah, that's true. Well, do you experience service to others as a source of personal joy?
Oh, yeah, man. I love helping people. I don't just like helping people. I like showing people who didn't think they can do things that they can do them. Like when it comes to marketing, for example, people call me and we'll have consults, and I've given up. I can't do this. I'm doing this, this, and this. And sometimes it's a real simple answer. Well, have you considered just changing the way you're doing X, Y, and Z, or change your headline, or do this or that, and it really puts a different spin on it, and it's almost like you see the light go on in people's lives, and they're walking around in the house, and the shades are drawn, and the windows are taped up, and all of a sudden, boom, it's sunny like it is here in Florida, and the windows are up, it's bright, the house smells good all of a sudden,
Yeah.
So yeah, I love doing stuff like that.
Well, how important is it to maintain a sense of humor in the face of serious problems? Because everybody has serious problems in their lives, and how important is humor in that?
Oh man, it's tremendously important. I mean, you know, people who know me well know me. I love to cut up and crack jokes with people. I do it with my kids. I do it with my wife. Sometimes when you are down in the skids, that's the only thing that gets you through. You start making some jokes and you poke fun at your situation and stuff like that. And I think the other thing that helps you get through is having a high energy level. A can-do attitude, sense of humor, I'd say, and a high energy level. That's the kind of things that get you through.
Well, we know your wife's a hero in your life. Who are some of the other people that are heroes in your life?
Other people that are heroes in my life. My oldest son is probably one of my heroes. He had to deal with some stuff when he was a kid that certainly wasn't, wasn't fair. He shouldn't have had to deal with it, but he did, and how he handled himself. I'm real proud of all my kids, but he's taught me a lot, and he communicates real well. He tells me if Dad, you're screwing up. I don't like it. I respect that. He's a together, neat kid. Like you said, my wife's a hero of mine, and she's definitely been a guiding light for me, and been a huge source of catalyst for change. That's probably about it as far as if I use my definition of heroes.
Yeah.
Well, I've had to some extent, Gary Halbert was a bit of a hero of mine. He came in and gave me the confidence and took me under his wing and gave me the confidence that I should switch what I was doing. I owned a financial planning firm for 9 years, and he gave me the confidence that, he told me I was the greatest copywriter he's ever met. And that wasn't a testimonial. He sent me that after I did some jobs for me. He sent me an email that. And to be honest with you, I thought he was giving me, winding me up and giving me, crap. And I called him up and I said, man, I got this email from you. He goes, well, did you get it? He goes, I meant every word of it. So that gave me the confidence to make a change in my life, and so I could live the lifestyle I wanted, which for me is spending more time with my wife and kids.
That's really great. So those people definitely have made and continue to make a positive difference in your life?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, there's another guy that's, again, going by my definition of hero, someone who's unselfishly given to themselves. A client of mine that came to me probably about 6 to 8 months ago is a guy named Chet Rowland, and you might have heard the name. He's Dan Kenny's always talking about him. Anyway, he lives down here and hired me as a client. We got along, and he's turned out to be, using that definition of a hero, a bit of a hero. He has promoted me and just so, influential in my career with a lot of other pretty prominent information marketers. And he's just a great guy to be around. He's always inspirational. He's a high-energy guy like me, and just a good guy to be around. So I'd have to say Chet's, not only a friend, but probably to some extent using that definition of hero as well.
Oh, that's really great. Who do you feel the real heroes in our society today?
Okay, the real heroes are not, Oprah and Dr. Phil. That's what I'll tell you. Not that they don't do heroic things. But to me, I think the real heroes are good parents.
Well, I do too.
I mean, there's a big difference, Ralph, as a parent. I know this, and it's not easy, but there's a huge difference between giving your kids things and giving your kids a sense of independence, a sense of responsibility, and being able to hit the pause button, if you want to call it that, whenever they need to point out specific examples of things going on right then and there and teach them a life lesson.
Boy, that's so important, isn't it?
Yeah, those are the real heroes. The little, sounds corny, the people who are doing those little random acts of kindness in your life, especially when they're doing them consistently for their kids. Those are the true heroes.
That is so true. So why are heroes so important in the lives of young people?
Well, like I referenced myself, when you don't have a guidepost, when you don't have someone you can model yourself after, and I think a lot of people have role models, but they may not be comfortable with them. Like I wasn't comfortable with my role models when I was a kid, so I knew I had to check this. And so you sort of feel like you're, like a sailboat out on the ocean without a sail.
Yeah.
You're just blowing along with the waves, and you're trying to figure out what's what.
Yeah.
So if a child can get an anchor and someone to help them steer their lives, they're going to grow much quicker, they'll be much more successful people much earlier, and therefore they'll be able to contribute positively to themselves and other people's lives in their world.
Why do you think that the heroes like the moms and the dads and the grandmas and the grandpas and the coaches and the teachers and the spiritual leaders, that they're not getting the recognitions that they deserve today?
That's boring, man. You don't want to see that on TV?
I would. I'd like to see it.
I'd like to see it too, but it won't sell.
Why do you think that is? I've always, one of the great people that I interviewed, Gregory Allen Williams, who was a cop on Baywatch, he said that if it bleeds, it leads.
Yeah, right. It'll sell as a tail end of a show. In tonight's closing story, we have Grandma Essie, who is 97 years old and takes care of 15 kids. Yeah, I think that's too mundane and people discount it. I think people don't acknowledge that that's what makes the world go round. You know, whether you have similar opinions or different opinions, but that's what makes this world a good place to live in. And it's too mundane. People want to see sensational stuff. They don't stop and consider stuff like that.
Well, do you think people's emotions are so jaded that they just need one greater catastrophe after another catastrophe just to feel stimulated?
I think people are busy. I think people are too caught up in their lives. You know, we talked before about taking action and not taking action. I think people are so, the hustle bustle of today's world is so draining on most people that not only do they not have time for other people, for the most part they don't have time for themselves. A few people take time out during the day to sort of do something for themselves, do something good for themselves, read a book, watching TV is obviously not good for you. So I just think people are too overwhelmed with their lives.
Well, 90% of what you see on TV creates fear in the person. It's a fear that they can do absolutely nothing about. Why do you think that people have such an addiction to TV? I know that some people watch it 40, 50 hours a week.
I have no idea. I mean, if I watch 2 hours of TV personally, that's a lot, but a week. It's escape, people, again, most men lead lives of quiet consternation. I think that's what he said, or something along those lines. Quiet desperation. And I think that's true.
Yeah.
And people want to escape. It's nice to turn on TV and imagine it's fantasy world. Look, I mean, I can't believe these reality shows. It cracks me up. I see, the headline of USA Today every day. Who got thrown off? Was American Idol or something like that?
Yeah.
And so, to me, how you can be so preoccupied with other people's lives that have nothing to do with you, it's kind of funny. But I think it's just a fantasy for most people. They do lead lives of quiet desperation. They got too many bills, not enough money to pay, too much on their plate, the schedule's too hectic, too many kids, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And so, hey, I get to watch, hot, half-dressed, naked women on TV, or I get to see how someone's new car is getting pimped,
Yeah.
So,
I believe that's true. Well, how do people become heroes, from your definition?
Giving hope to others. You introduce
I agree.
hope to other people's lives, and sometimes it's tough to become a hero because a lot of people can't. I knew in the environment I grew up, it's tough to. You've got to attract those people to you. You can't go and seek them out because that's looking at marketing. You're trying to force. You're talking to an audience that's not interested. The people who want hope, you've got to put your message out there and let them come to you because it's hard to find people who have hope in those areas.
Yeah, well, I've been on the internet for the last 3 years taking photos at all the seminars of all the speakers and doing their PowerPoints and stuff just to see what kind of people they are and see who would volunteer to help with the Heroes program. Now I'm finding out who actually has integrity and is following through on their commitment to help out. How does it feel to be recognized as an internet hero because you're definitely following through in a big way?
Well, I'm flattered. I really appreciate it. And the good thing is I don't know how it's going to change my life, and that's the beauty of life, but I am ready for the adventure and ready to find out, and then contribute what I can, and, something good will come of it in some way, shape, or form at some time.
Why do you think you were selected for this unique honor?
I was thinking of that, Ralph. I don't know. You and I met. We spoke real briefly. I would suspect either we had some good chemistry, or you saw something in me or in my voice or the way I held the door open for somebody or, my body language that said, hey, I think this guy might be somebody I want to get with that might be willing to help with this good cause. So I don't know. Why was I selected, Ralph?
Well, you were selected because you volunteered to help. You heard what the premise of the program was, is to recognize moms and dads and the people that don't get the credit they deserve for just how much of a big impact for good that they make in the lives of their kids and other people within the community. And just by offering and following through, that was the reason why I've given you this unique honor, just because you are a person that followed through, you do have integrity, you do reply to the emails that I send you, and you wanted to give your best on this interview. You didn't want to do it when you're tired, and that's my idea of a person that is a person that should be recognized as a hero, because you love your family, you love your kids, you work hard for your clients, you take care of your body. That's the example that I would love to hold up as a role model for young people, because you're actually making the world a better place.
Well, I don't blush too easy, but I'm blushing now, and I really appreciate all those things. I'm just doing my thing, just doing what I can to make this little world a little better place.
Well, I know that you've been through a lot in your life, especially growing up in the projects, and there's always problems facing society. God says that the poor will always be with us, and do you have any good ideas on how to solve the problems facing society, especially racism, child and spousal abuse, and violence among young people, since you experienced it firsthand?
Okay, well, I probably have some thoughts on that, but they're not going to be easy or well-liked answers. I'd say, number one, people have got to start taking responsibility for their own actions. We live in it's so easy to write sales copy for that. It's not your fault. It's kind of like the funny drop back amongst copywriters. It's not your fault. It is your fault, man. It's 100% your fault. And the sooner you take responsibility for it, the sooner you acknowledge it and do something about it, your world's going to be 100% different.
Well, isn't that the truth?
It's just, in everything. And it's not my fault I got a low-paying job. It's not my fault I'm late on my bills. It's not my fault I didn't do my homework. It's not, what it's like.
Yeah.
So the first thing is probably take responsibility. The second thing, and to deal with some of those problems, child abuse, racism, and violence, is just be open-minded a little bit. Understand that not everybody's going to agree with you. You don't have to agree with everybody. You don't have to like everybody. But you know what? There would be so much less stress in this world, and you'd have so much less headache in your personal life if you accepted everybody. I don't like all my neighbors. I'm sure they don't like me. In fact, I know they don't like me. We don't have fight. I don't sit there obsessing about it. You don't have to like people. Just be open-minded. Understand, hey, people are different. That's just the way it is. You're going to disagree with people in your own household from time to time. Just accept that everybody's got a different opinion, and that's okay. You don't all have to agree. And if you could do those two things, if people could be open-minded, accept that things are different, people are different, and not judge them, and then just take responsibility, I think you'd eliminate almost all those problems.
Well, I agree that's true, and that's one of my dreams for the In Search of Heroes program once it starts going to every community, is the kids would realize that as they read the blogs from other kids in other communities all the way across the world, that they have an open mind, are able to allow new information and to accept it and ponder it and try to believe that other people are good, but they may not have the same perspective on life that they do.
Yeah, see, why is it? You look at kids as a perfect example. Kids, you tell kids, hey, man, would you like to interact with this kid over in England or in Japan or in Vietnam or in Denmark? And kids are thrilled. Oh, yeah, what's going on? What's their world like?
Yeah.
Well, why is it that adults are like, screw that, man. I want to deal with my little corner of my block or my neighborhood or my street or myself or my house.
Yeah.
The kids are definitely much more open and accepting of things. So if we can, if you can implement your program to the kids at a young age, that's where you got to get it. You got to get them open, because they are open-minded. Kids are very open-minded, and wide-eyed and filled with anticipation of what the world has to give them. And it's just, why do people beat kids? They beat kids because they had a rough day and they can't handle it and they don't know what to do with the energy. And they're miserable, and it's not my fault that it's happened. It is. Just figure out how to fix the friggin' problem.
Yeah. I really believe in that's true. If you had 3 wishes for your life in the world that would instantly come true, what would they be?
Okay, well probably number 1 and 2 would be that people take, what you asked me before, that people start taking responsibility for themselves and they start being, love their fellow man and be more accepting of people.
Yeah.
I think, that would be immediately, people would chill out a lot. And I guess, end suffering from poor health. If you watch people suffer, I mean, you're sitting there taking care of your parents. It's got to be brutal and, emotionally agonizing for you on a regular basis.
It is, on a daily basis.
Suffering from poor health is just it's a terrible thing to have to go through. I've done it to some extent. And not like you, but that would be my 3rd wish, I guess.
Yeah. What do you think about the In Search of Heroes program and its impact on youth, parents, and business people?
Ralph, I think it's a great program. Anytime you're raising awareness about children's need for heroes is you're doing that. That's fantastic. People need to be just getting people talking about those things. Is great. It's like my son yesterday came home on the bus. He said, him and his kids on the bus were arguing about the war or the presidency. And I said, look, even if you don't agree, I think it's great that you guys are all talking about that. There's raising awareness. Hopefully, whichever way you vote, these kids and you will all vote when you're bigger to take responsibility, make some decisions in your lives. So raising awareness is very important. And then, of course, look, you're trying to change people's lives, especially young people. And like I said to you before, when we were just talking, you're the hero here, man, not me. You're the guy that's putting all this together. You're the guy that's trying to change lives and taking a proactive approach to it. So I think it's fantastic.
The whole idea is to get kids to think that they truly can be heroes, too, and just changing the paradigm of somebody that does something great once, either because they were spurned on by adrenaline or just a commitment to, make that one act, that it's more one of quiet daily action of choosing to act in a way that helps others, and to get kids to realize that those are the true heroes, the people that help enthusiastically, responsibly, optimistically, exceptionally, socially, and or spiritually. That it's something that each person is capable of doing. I know that Gregory Alan Williams said there's a little bit of good in the worst of us and a little bit of bad in the best of us, and I think it's trying to find the equilibrium between those two, because I think we all suffer from that.
Absolutely.
What are the things parents can do that will help their children realize that they too can be heroes and make a positive impact on the lives of others?
Okay, that's a good question. It's something I've given a tremendous amount of thought to, again, because having 3 kids and knowing all the wrong ways to raise kids, I had to, because I didn't want to make those same mistakes with my kids, my own children. I would say the things that my oldest son is 15 almost, so I've had a bit of experience at this. So if I had to sit and reflect and say the most important things is let your kids be kids. You only get one childhood. There's no do-overs. Okay, let them be kids. You expect them, a 6-year-old to be, why are you doing this? I'm 6. Let them be kids. I got a 5-year-old and a 15-year-old. I got another one in the middle. So believe me, I'm more, and I'm much more realistic about that with my 5-year-old than I was, frankly, with my 15-year-old. Because you're older and you made your mistakes and you realize these things. Mm-hmm. Don't judge them. Again, just like I said, you should love your fellow man. Don't judge your kids. Let them be who they are. Some kids will not be good students. That's okay. You still got to love them. That's just the way they are. That's just the way they are. They're not into school, whatever reason. Are they good people? That's a lot more important. Don't set expectations for them either. It goes kind of like what I said before, but what I mean by that is your kids are separate individuals from you. And, Ralph, I coached all my kids, both my older sons, and now my daughter's 5, and she'll be starting to play sports soon. I coached them in soccer. My wife and I actually coached a soccer team together. I coached another year or 2 after that, and I coached my middle son in basketball for years. And I see these parents, and they live or die with their kids foul shooting or something.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, the kid is definitely much more well received than when he's doing well than when he's not. And then the parents live sort of vicariously through their kids. And I was sort of an oddball. I could care less what my kids do in sports. I just wanted them to have fun. They were playing sports not for me. I could care less how they did.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, my kids are well, they're all in karate, right? And my sons now, I know that they're red belts, but there was a period of time there. I was sitting in karate one time, and someone said, "Oh, what belts are your kids?" And I didn't know, because I don't mean this. I didn't care about my kids. I didn't care. You know, I think one was orange, or I don't even know. It didn't matter to me because that's not what it was. That's not why I was there. I was there for them to have fun and hopefully get something out of this in their lives. It had nothing to do with me.
So do you think that parents are pushing their kids too hard and sort of just trying to force them to achieve the levels of success that they never experienced in their own lives?
Yeah, I think they're pushing them too hard for the wrong things. You know, because these same people that push their kids hard to, you know, score another soccer goal or you know, make sure they make 90% of their layups, then they turn around and you know, they don't, when the kid's rude, it doesn't say, hey, you know, why don't you say thank you or please?
Yeah.
And, you know, in the long run, you know, it's going to be they're going to have a lot more easier time getting along in this world, learning how to say thank you and please and making foul shots or getting layups in, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, I think they're looking for plaques to put, you know, I think the mistake that parents make is they look for tangible signs of evidence for your kids' success in life, and I'm not so sure you can measure success with children by tangible signs of evidence. Now, you might have some people listen to say, oh, that guy's lazy, or that guy just, you know, he's got kids who aren't performers. That's not true. I've got walls and plaques full. I don't care about that stuff, though. What means a lot more to me is when a parent down the block comes to me and says, God, you know what? Your son Casey is so polite. All the other kids come to the house. He is such a nice kid. He's such a pleasure to deal with. You know, that to me says that, you know, Ann and I did a pretty good job what we're doing with our kids. And it happens to all three of our kids. And I see how they interact with others. They're polite. They say hello. They care about other people. They don't step on people, you know. They care about other kids. And
that's one of the reasons why I created the In Search of Heroes program, is to honor the moms and dads and honor kids of that way. I worked a lot with professional sports stars here in San Diego and movie stars up in L.A., and I found that they were just absolutely the worst role models possible. You see the kids now that are, you know, taking on the same activities that the sports stars that are, you know, on steroids or have attitudes that are anything but inspirational to kids.
Right, because your kids, you know, you don't realize what a major role you have in their lives. They will imitate every single thing you do. You know, I mean, and you don't realize this because it's going on kind of like behind the scenes. You know, the other thing is really important is you've got to give kids confidence, and the way you give the kids confidence is by letting them be independent, not doing everything for them. I mean, my son's been working. I had a big thing. You know, one of my weekly tips was about a job that I helped him get, and you know, he's been working now. He's almost 15. He's working almost a year.
Wow.
He's doing real well. He's and I think it's important, and it's matured him quite a bit. And you know, he's getting his permit. He's got to get his driver's permit soon. We're going to have to deal with that. And I know the thing to do is, I don't feel safe putting him on the road, but I do feel safe teaching him how to drive and being with me.
Yeah.
And better to sit behind the wheel with me for a year, so that when you're ready to roll out there, I know what you got. Then, you know, here's your license. Go ahead. You know, we're both screwed then.
Yeah.
You know, so I've always tried to let them make their own mistakes and then be here for them, so we can talk about it. But now they've got the courage, and you know, the more things you do, the more things you think you can do.
Yeah.
So you just build on that and build on it and build on it. And you know, all my kids are extremely independent. I've let them fail, and as long as we're always here for them, you know, I know that everything's, you know, they'll be fine. But the whole thing is let them do stuff and give them the confidence. Don't do everything for them.
So you think it's important to let them try things and fail? That's a part of realizing how things don't work?
Absolutely, it's a part of life. What are you going to do? Grow up and think everything I do is going to be touch to gold, and hey, everybody's going to even worse, I've got somebody to do it for me. What world are they living on? You know, that's not reality. I want them to be able to go out and make their own destiny and have, you know, I didn't have control of my life until I was much older. I'm 41 now. I didn't have control of my life until I was in my mid to late 30s. I don't want them to have to. I mean, and that's not old, but why shouldn't they have it when they're 22 or 21? You know, why should they be, you know, without direction? Why don't, you know, they should have an influence in their own lives. Everybody could change your own destiny. I'm not, you know, there's no, all you gotta do is want it. But knowing you can do it and believing you can do it, that's where it gets a little tricky. So I've always tried to make sure my guys and my daughter, you know, they've got the horses in them. You know, they know, hey, I could do whatever I want to do. It's up to me.
You've probably had to fail a lot to become successful. Do you share with them your failures as well as your successes?
Oh, yeah, totally. I mean, and you know, I've been, again, very lucky. My kids have always, you know, Ralph, there were times we were so broke. I had to charge diapers. I had to charge groceries. I remember I had to go out to Dallas last week, and I was walking through the airport, and I was just, grabbing a couple of trinkets to bring home to everybody on the way. And I stopped and paused because I remember there were times when, if I could afford to be flying somewhere, I'd be feeling like dirt because I couldn't afford to buy my kids candy. I was flying on an airplane with $1 in my pocket. I was walking down the street with, $3 in my pocket, and that sucks when you've got to do that. You feel a lot better when you got a few $100 bills in your pocket and you don't owe anybody any money than when you're in the situation I was in. And I've always shared this with them again because I want them to know, I want them to see what it takes to become successful, what you have to go through. But most important, I want them to say, God, I remember when my dad had no money. I remember when we had this and that. I don't want to be in that position, so let me lay things down. And let me set things up so that, I could have my life a little more organized than that. So, I remember my dad taught me about this, and I want to make sure I do this because he told me when he didn't do this, he screwed this up or whatever. So I want him to know what's out there in the world. I believe in communication and letting people know what's going on in the world, letting your kids know good times and bad times. And you know what? My kids have come to me at times and said, Dad, if they've heard me saying, maybe I don't, we can't go out to eat tonight or something like that. My kids say, Dad, if you need money, I've got it. My son would come to his allowance, my younger son or my older son, and say, hey, I've got $25. Do you need it? And that is,
wow.
I mean, how cool is that?
That's
cool.
Is
that, so, and they've always been, and now that things are going really well, they're grounded kids, we didn't raise our kids, got a lot more money than I had when I was growing up, and they've always had to work for things, and they have a great life, but I wanted to make sure they respected money, and I wanted to make sure they knew what it's like. Not that it's hard to earn money. I didn't want a program like that, but that you have to do something to earn it. It doesn't just come to you.
Yeah. Well, Craig, that's pretty profound, a lot of the stuff that you've said, and I really appreciate your time. I know you're extremely busy and that you have a tremendous number of clients that really respect you and appreciate what you do. And so, again, I'd just like to thank you very much for taking your time to do this interview, and I really appreciate your insights that you've shared with us today.
Ralph, I appreciate your time. I appreciate being part of the program. I'm looking to contribute and help out, and, I think what you're doing is a great thing. And thanks very much for including me, and thanks for listening to me and asking me all these questions. If I can help you out with anything else, don't hesitate to let me know.
Oh, thanks. Well, I'm really looking forward to your sales letter to promote the In Search of Heroes on the Internet book that promotes the best of the best that I've found in marketing and copywriting and technology and just asset protection and publicity. I think that it'll be a foundational thing that will help every program and every community be incredibly successful. So, I'm just thankful for you and just for your offer to help in that way also. So, Craig,
my pleasure. Honestly, it is.
Thanks again. Nice talking with you. Bye.
Bye-bye.